So give us an idea. How does the perception about these so-called sanctuary cities match the reality?
Well, sanctuary policies are policies that are passed at the state and local level to protect immigrants from ICE, whether at schools, courthouses, or in police stations. And ironically, the more name-calling that Trump does in terms of his attacking of sanctuary cities, the more likely he is to actually increase support for them in the cities and states where these policies are in place and are working.
And it is hard to get everyone on the same page. You have the states, the federal government, you have non-profits, and also faith-based organizations taking different stances. How have sanctuary cities responded to the administration's most recent moves?
Well, you're quite right. The failure of Congress to modernize immigration law means that we basically have a fractured immigration policy where immigration policy differs from state to state. But there's been no question that Trump's immigrant bashing has actually encouraged the promulgation and support for sanctuary policies in states that have lots of immigrants. And I think Trump has made a calculation that he is going to lose by a landslide in a lot of these states that have passed policies protecting immigrants, and so he's chosen that he's going to bash them. I think he would rather be at rallies, leading chants about the wall, but he's failed to deliver on that promise, and so I think he's created sanctuary cities and states as a sort of straw man argument for his re-election campaign.
So is this the #1 issue for voters in western states like California and Nevada, as well as other border states?
There's no question that support for sanctuary policies in California continue to rise, and like I said, they rise even more when he makes his grand appearances in Los Angeles and calls our leaders' names, and he calls immigrants' names and the like. And so again, I think he has made a myopic decision that he'll get good press on television shows like Hannity and Tucker Carlson, but he's no doubt alienating people in the states that have the most amount of immigrants.
So you mentioned obviously that using this as sort of a rallying for his base, but as we look ahead to the November 2020 elections, what does that mean then in terms of the broader response to this approach?
Well, like I said, I think actually it will sort of show the fact that Trump has never really cared about immigration policy. I think when he leads his chants about the wall or whether he's attacking sanctuary cities, he's more interested in TV ratings than he is about actual policy. Because the simple fact is that the more name-calling he does, the stronger these policies get, the greater immigration protections are sort of made, and I think the more legal authority cities and states will have. And so, ironically, the more loudly he barks about sanctuary cities, the more impotent he will appear, even to his own base.
Now, we know that President Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner, has been trying to resurrect the immigration overhaul. Where do things stand with Kushner's push for this overhaul?
I think that who knows? I mean, I think it's a little bit of an election ploy and an election ruse. The idea that the most anti-immigrant president in modern history would lead a legislative reform would be laughable if it wasn't tragic. So I think that there's probably going to be some sort of false promises that are made, but no doubt it's inconceivable that President Trump would lead a positive immigration reform.
So then as we look at the importance of these immigrant communities, not just to California, but to the U.S. economy as a whole, tell us about the role that they play in really supporting the U.S. economy.
It's my belief, I've worked with immigrant workers for my entire career, and it's my belief that immigrant workers are the beating heart of the American economy, and that their labor has been accepted, but their humanity has not. And I think that all workers will benefit if and when we have immigration laws that reflect our national values and reflect the contributions that immigrants are making. And I think, again, as Trump comes into California, a sort of quintessential sanctuary state, and engages in the type of bigotry and name-calling when everyone knows that he himself has relied on exploitation of immigrant work in his own businesses, I think the hypocrisy is laid bare. And like I said, whereas there might be some sort of short-term benefit to fomenting this white nationalist fervor, in the long term, there's no question that President Trump will be on the losing side of his war against sanctuary cities.
All right, thank you so much. Chris Newman there, Legal Director and General Counsel for the National Day Labor Organizing Network.